Hi, I'm Peyton with TigerSaw, and today I'm going to show you how to replace your belt on your TigerSaw. Depending on your cutting envelope and your blade size, you may need to raise your cap guard resting position. To do that, we're going to turn off the air, and we're going to raise the stop block all the way to the top. Now that we have the stop block raised all the way to the top, we're going to turn the air back on to raise the cap guard. Because we have the main power turned off, that will release the guard latch on our door, allowing us to open the door. And we're going to take our two tools. We have our front collar tool and our Allen wrench. We're going to line it up on the bottom pin and just rotate the blade until the second pin lines up. And we're going to flip the baffle back to cause tension on our stop tool. Now we need to pull off the back plate. To get to that, we need to pull off the back collar. We'll take out the keyway. And we're going to pull the four 3mm Allen wrench button head screws. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we're going to loosen the locking nut on the end of the idler pulley. We'll use a 19mm wrench, and we're just going to crack it loose. And we're going to take a 13mm wrench and release all the pressure on the pulley. We want to give it enough play that we can freely take the belt off. And now we're going to take needle nose pliers. We're going to pull out the pin. Allowing us to pull off the belt. We're going to lift the swing arm and pull the belt off. Now we're going to take our new belt. We're going to lift up the swing arm pulley. We'll loop it around. We're going to slide the idler pulley all the way up. We're going to just rotate it, make sure the belt aligns with the grooves. And we'll set it back on the cylinder. Slide our pin back in place, like so. And we'll slide on our locking pin. At that point, we just want to double check, make sure that the belt is still in the grooves, lined up properly. And then we'll tighten the idler pulley. Once again, we'll take our 13mm wrench. So for now, we'll just get it snug. Now we'll take our deflection gauge from the bottom, and we want to push, and we want to press 15 pounds with only obtaining 1 centimeter of deflection. Now we're going to take our first back panel, and we're going to set it in place. And we'll take our tapered head screws and the 3mm Allen wrench. Now before we tighten the screws on our second back plate, we want to make sure that we slide it so it's centered. We have an even gap on both sides of the motor shaft, like so, and we can tighten it down. Okay, so now we're ready to put on the back collar. It's important to note that we want to make sure that this outer ring is perfectly clear of any debris, so you want to take a rag and just make sure that it's wiped clean. Additionally, we want to make sure that none of these brush strip hairs get caught in between. Otherwise, that will throw our blade out of alignment. So now that it's clean, we'll throw in the keyway. And the same for where the collar nests against that outer ring. We want to make sure that's nice and clean before we set it in place. So we'll slide it in place. Clean up the inner ring. And we're ready to throw on the blade. Okay, so before we throw on the blade, we want to make sure that the surface of the blade on both sides is nice and clean. And just like on any upcut saw, we want to make sure that the teeth are spinning towards the back fence. We also have it displayed on the outside of the door cabinet on the clear plexi. So we'll throw the blade on. We want to line up with one of the guide pins here, and then we're going to rotate the blade and slide it in place. Once again, we want to make sure it's firmly in place, we don't get any wobble, and we're ready to throw on the front collar. We'll take our 2 screws. We want to hand thread them a few rotations just to make sure we're not cross threading. We're going to slide the baffle forward so we can put on our locking tool. Rotate the blade. And we want to snug up our screws. Double check. And we want to slide the baffle all the way forward, and we're good to go. Now before we close the door, we want to make sure that our keyway is directly lined up with our guard latch on the bottom. And we'll tighten our locking handle. We want to make sure that it's all the way secure before we can turn the power back on. To verify that our guard latch is properly connected, we want to reset our safety chain. Make sure our safety chain light comes on. If it's on, we're ready to go.